1987 සිට නව්‍යකරණයෙන් ශ්‍රී ලාංකේය බැංකු ක්ෂේත්‍රයේ පෙරලියක් සිදු කළ අභිමානවත් 30 වසරක සැමරුම සම්පත් බැංකුව හෙට දින එළිය කරයි.
Making headlines tonight. Developing Sri Lanka. Port city to bring in over $30 billion starting in 2018, says the project developer.
First at 9. This is Derana 24/7.
A toxic-free nation. The President Sustain Lanka national celebration commenced today. Drought trouble. Sri Lanka's inflation hits a record high this month. And in international headlines, Brexit wars. EU says Britain leaving the Union is a punishment enough. Says will work with the United Kingdom. Good evening, Mahesh Johnny with Derana 24/7. President Maithripala Sirisena calls all citizens to understand the challenges facing the economy in the process of developing the country. The President said this addressing a gathering at the BMICH today.
President Maithripala Sirisena participated in the inaugural ceremony of the Sustain Sri Lanka exhibition, organised in line with Sri Lanka's 3-year plan for a toxin-free nation. The program will continue until the 4th of April at the BMICH.
ඉරසර සංවර්ධන ජාතික ප්‍රතිපත්තිය මේ වසරේ ජනවාරි මාසයේ අපි මුල් සතියේම
We introduced the National Sustainable Development Policy in the first week of January. In order to overcome the challenges we face as a nation, we should all work in collaboration. A country cannot be developed when politicians are grouped in one section, state officials in another, non-government private entities separately, and while the general public is in yet another faction. When we are faced with a challenge, we must accept it. Likewise, we should be ready to face risks. We have a policy framework in place. Let's all unite to accomplish that.
අපිට වැඩපිළිවෙලක් තිබෙනවා. අපිට සැලැස්මක් තිබෙනවා. ඒ සඳහා අපි සෑම කෙනෙක්ම කටයුතු කරමු.
Meanwhile, the President handed over certificates for institutes that produced organic fertilizer as per the directive of the Department of Agriculture. He also presented documents symbolizing the delivery of 210 rice planting machines and 1,000 weed picking machines with the intention of encouraging young agricultural entrepreneurs. Also addressing the ceremony, United Nations Resident Coordinator Una Macaulay pointed out as pivotal for Sri Lanka to focus on sustainable and inclusive development.
No one must be left behind, and to ensure that we must act to ensure that we reach the furthest left behind first, especially the most vulnerable and the most marginalized. Development will be a challenge. It will be difficult. But Sri Lanka was a lead country in achieving the Millennium Development Goals, and I believe even with the complex nature of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, Sri Lanka will embrace the challenge.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says the government will exert pressure on both state-owned and private sector banks to make credit available widely in Sri Lanka. The Prime Minister made these comments addressing the launch of digital banking solutions in Colombo last evening.
India's Manipal Technologies, together with Lakehouse Printers and Publishers, launched a new technology which enables the issuance of virtual and physical bank debit cards instantly. The digital banking solution will help banking customers to open an account and complete the validation and account activation process, as well as obtain a personalized debit card instantly. The technology allows banks to extend services to offer loan account processing as well as credit card issuances. Customers can also obtain a virtual card for use at online and retail outlets.
It's the digital technology which is bringing banking to millions or to billions of people. And banking has to move to the youth and to the rural areas. And that we are policy which we are pursuing, and more pressure will come on the banks, both state and private, to ensure that they cast a wider net and credit is available to the rural people. If we did not open up our economies and liberalize, this would not have been possible. For a small country like Sri Lanka, it's not merely opening up, but ensuring and welcoming direct foreign investments in the country, welcoming tourists in this country, opening up and allowing, liberalizing our banking system, going in for offshore financing and banking. A small country like Sri Lanka has to do it. There's no other way.
Rear Admiral Sarath Weerasekara says if the President and the Prime Minister are against establishing a hybrid court in Sri Lanka, they should inform the same to the Human Rights Council in Geneva via the Foreign Affairs Minister. He said this speaking to the media at the office of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa in Bathramulla.
අපේ රජය යුද අපරාධ කරයි කියන සෙයිද් හුසේන්ගේ වාර්තාව අගය කරමින් පිළිඅරගෙන
When our government accepts the report of Zaid Ra'ad al-Hussein, will anyone say we did not commit war crimes? They said 140,000 were brutally murdered. These are false statistics. They also said that Tamils are still being murdered. They further said that young Tamil women are kept in army camps as prostitutes. Then a person called Nimalka Fernando spoke, betraying the country. This is volume 1 of a report. This says that the report of Zaid Ra'ad al-Hussein is not true. Volume 2 says that according to war specialists, we have not committed any war crimes. These reports were first prepared during the rule of Mahinda Rajapaksa and were issued this year, but the Minister of Foreign Affairs did not produce it in Geneva. Some foreign ministers on that day told me that the issue is not whether we believe this or not, but it is important that we get to know that there is another side to the story. Our Minister of Foreign Affairs said at the UN that this idea is not totally refused. If the President and the Prime Minister say so, it should be told via our Foreign Minister in the United Nations, and until they do that, no one will believe it.
Meanwhile, at a media briefing today, Minister of Skills Development and Vocational Training Mahinda Samarasinghe said that foreign judges were invited for investigations on alleged war crimes in Sri Lanka during the term of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa.
It is during the time of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa that the Udalagama Commission was established to investigate violations of human rights. The UN said that they would accept findings of the Udalagama Commission only if an international committee is set up to monitor whether the commission operates based on international standards. Due to the pressure back then, the former president agreed to it. Then Foreign Minister told the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights to appoint a suitable person. You will be surprised that they proposed Darusman. It is in fact former President Mahinda Rajapaksa who allowed foreign judges. It is the President who said that although the resolutions were passed, it cannot be allowed. When the leaders of the two parties in the unity government give a clear statement, such proposals will not be implemented. The constitution does not make allowance for that. Even if a new constitution is brought in, we will not allow that. Well, those who represent countries in Geneva do not listen to statements made by various people. It is the government statement that matters and is accepted.
Meanwhile, in other local stories, the government will soon begin work on establishing a large-scale transportation hub around the Fort Railway Station and Colombo Port. Minister of Megapolis and Western Development, Patali Champika Ranawaka, said the project will be handed over to a suitable developer during the year.
We are hoping to transfer the Manning market to Paliagoda in another 1.5 to 2 years. The construction process has already begun at the site. Then we will combine the land in which the Manning market was previously situated with the area belonging to Fort Railway Station to establish a large-scale transportation hub. We will commence the project from the land where the Chalmers gantry is located. During the 3 months, we expect to reduce the traffic congestion in the Fort, Boralla, Bathramulla and Town Hall areas by prioritizing the public transport system.
A protest was carried out today at the Musali Marichakadi area in Mana against the Gazette notification by President Maithripala Sirisena declaring the Mavilu Forest Reserve. However, the government emphasizes that no settlement around the Vilpattu Sanctuary area will be affected due to this declaration.
On several occasions, Derana revealed large-scale forest destruction in Vilpattu Sanctuary area under the pretense of resettling housing projects and other development projects. Following the reports, officials from the Ministry of Environment launched an investigation that later confirmed the devastation caused by these projects. This necessitated President Maithripala Sirisena's direct involvement. The President signed the special Gazette notification on the 24th of March declaring Mavillu, Veppal, Karadikulli, Marichikaddi and Vilattikulam forests as Mavillu Forest Reserve under Section 3A of the Forest Conservation Ordinance. A protest was carried out today in the Muzeli Marichikaddi area against the said Gazette notification. The protesters say they have been treated unfairly.
We are requesting to cancel this Gazette notification.
Meanwhile, Minister of Industry and Commerce Rishad Badiuddin held a discussion regarding the current situation with the President's Secretary and other officials at the Presidential Secretariat today.
I explained to them the reasonable request made by people to withdraw the 2 Gazette notifications that have been signed without the people's agreement. I will definitely do so.
A press conference was also held in Colombo today addressing the matter.
When establishing the Mavillu Forest Reserve, we made sure that Marichikaddi and Vilattikulam settlements or any future settlements would not have to face any problems. There is no intention to penalize the Muslim community through this forest reserve. There was the Black July and the war. Choose not to do so.
එනිසා මේ පත්තු කරන්න හදන උදවියට මං කාරුණික ඉල්ලා හිටින්නේ මේ කරන්න එපා.
Minister of City Planning and Water Supply Rauf Hakim said water tariffs will be revised in the near future. He said this speaking at the inauguration of the UWA Regional Support Centre for Water Supply and Drainage Board in Badulla yesterday.
The UWA Regional Support Centre, funded by the American government under the vision of providing clean drinking water to all, was inaugurated yesterday under the patronage of Minister of City Planning and Water Supply Rauf Hakim and the Chief Minister of the UWA province Chamara Sampath Dasanayaka.
There are people out there who underestimate water tariffs, thinking that water comes straight from nature. It is totally wrong because a cubic meter of water costs 48 rupees. We are distributing it for 12 rupees, which is 1/4 of the cost. Even if we increase the charges by 6 or 7 rupees, it does not make a huge difference, but people make a huge controversy out of it. And yet, they pay more than 50 rupees to buy a cigarette. We have to be careful when we use 1,000 litres just for 12 rupees.
On to business news and to one of our headline stories. An official of the project company for Colombo Port City says the development will attract a staggering $13 billion worth of investment starting next year. Speaking to Reuters today, Chief Sales and Marketing Officer of the CHEC Port City Colombo, Lian Tho Ming, said they are expecting to deliver the first site of the Port City project for construction by the end of next year.
The $1.4 billion Colombo Port City project by China Communication Construction Company began late last year. A third of the 269-hectare project site is reclaimed from the sea. Liang Taoming, Chief Sales and Marketing Officer of CHEC Port City Colombo, the local company handling the project for China Communications Construction Company, said they anticipate $13 billion worth of investment in the form of housing, marinas, health facilities, schools and other developments over the next 30 years.
We are hoping to be able to deliver the first site for construction by the end of next year, 2018. We are positioning the port city as a hub to the whole of South Asia. Potential of this region is enormous. This is a huge market. This is a region that has been growing in a very fast pace at this point in time. And basically, I think what will happen here is that when we get everything in place, a lot of the people in the region would want to think about coming to Colombo to manage their wealth.
Sri Lanka's consumer price inflation hit a record high of 7.3% this month, according to government data released today. Analysts attribute the increase to the impact of a lingering drought, higher taxes and a weaker rupee. Inflation measured on the 12-month moving average basis also hit an all-time high of 5% compared with the previous month's 4.6%. The rupee has fallen 1.4% this year, resulting in expensive imports. For more details of the day's trading, we now have RM Sivanandan from the Colombo Stock Exchange.
The benchmark all-share price index gained 21.76 points to close at 6,061.94. While the S&P Sri Lanka 20 index gained 15.16 points to close at 3,438.88. The turnover was 1,742.8 million rupees with 54.84 million shares changing hands in 3,857 trades. Top 5 gainers of the day were People's Merchant Finance, Central Investments and Finance, Multi-Finance, Asia Capital and Bimput Finance. Today there were 6 crossings and the crossing turnover was 1,045.38 million rupees. Today's foreign purchases was 1,177.1 billion rupees and the foreign sales was 121.87 million rupees.
For more business news, for a detailed picture of how the markets performed during the week, here is Raghuram Ramakrishnan from NDB Securities with our weekly review.
ASPI gained 1.1% during this week, mainly due to price gains in Nestle Lanka, John Keells Holdings and Selinco Insurance. S&P SL20, that represents the blue chip counters, also recorded a gain of 0.65% for the week. The average daily turnover was up from last week to 1.2 billion rupees, mainly due to foreign buying, which was seen throughout the week. Total foreign purchases accounted for 73% of the total turnover, creating a net foreign inflow of 1.8 billion rupees for the week. This resulted year-to-date net foreign inflow to cross 5 billion mark. Out of the weekly turnover, the block trades accounted for 37%, which was a low proportion than the last week.
Now here's a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other currencies during the day today. On to sports news now. Already trailing 1-0 at home, the West Indies suffered a second T20 defeat to Pakistan in Trinidad last night, despite having to chase a target of only 133.
Fielding first, the West Indies restricted Pakistan to 95 for 8 by the 17th over, but vital cameos from Wahab Riaz and Shadab Khan took the visitors to 132. With momentum swinging either way during the course of the match, Marlon Samuels gave West Indies hope with his 44. Shadab Khan was, however, able to dismiss Samuels at a crucial juncture and also picked up 3 other wickets in a spell that allowed Pakistan to hold on for a 3-run victory.
Opener and put the tourists on course for victory.
And if anyone can, Shadab can.
In tennis, Derana beat Venus Williams well after midnight last night to book her place in the Miami Open final against Karolina Wozniacki. In the men's draw, Roger Federer saved 2 match points as he survived 10th-seeded Thomas Berdych to set up a semi-final against Nick Kyrgios.
Johanna Konta became the first British woman to reach a Miami Open final when she outlasted American veteran Venus Williams 6-4, 7-5 in a match that lasted over 2 hours.
And after a 6-4, 7-5 win over Venus Williams,
the 10th seed will play Caroline Wozniacki in Saturday's final after the Danish 12th seed won an even longer semi-final 5-7, 6-1, 6-1 against 2nd seed Karolina Pliskova.
Well, not for the first.
Meanwhile, in the men's tournament, Roger Federer stared down defeat before knocking Thomas Berdych out with his 7th straight tiebreak win, taking the match 6-2, 3-6, 7-6 in a thrilling quarter-final.
3-6, 7-6.
Federer will next face Nick Kyrgios tonight after the 12th-seeded Australian edged German teenager Alexander Zverev 6-4, 6-7, 6-3.
A bit of cricket news now. Kumar Sangakkara says the national cricket team should accommodate top talent instead of being a platform for creating opportunities for various individuals. The former Sri Lankan skipper called for training of Sri Lankan cricketers to be delivered in an environment that enables the team to be capable of playing in all conditions. Former skipper Kumar Sangakkara and current Bangladesh coach Chandrika Hathurusinga addressed the Change Forum 2017 held in Colombo yesterday.
Who I am today because of Sri Lanka cricket. So one day I will love to give it back. When the opportunity comes, I will come one day. There's nothing wrong with Sri Lanka. Actually, talent-wise, Sri Lanka has a lot of talent. If they play to their capabilities, Sri Lanka is a very difficult team to beat at home. The one advantage we have at this stage is we 1-0 up, so all the pressure is with Sri Lanka team. But you can't take Sri Lanka team lightly. I'm hoping that Bangladesh is not listening to this one. 6 months ago, the best team, we beat Australia 3-0. Best coaches, best fielding side in the world. 6 months down the line, they're so bad. So they need to find the way, what's going wrong. So that's up to the people who are in charge of at these times.
The current Sri Lankan team really needs is security and confidence, the ability to be different, the ability to be able to train in an excellent environment, to continuously challenge themselves at training so that they're prepared for whatever challenge is presented to them on the field, but also to have some sort of continuity. We also have a structural issue with our first-class cricket that does not allow or funnel the best of the best. Cricket, not everyone can play. There is 11 and they have to be the best 11. Cricket at a national or international level is not about giving an opportunity to everyone. It is giving an opportunity to the best and continuously to the best. If you're not good enough,
welcome back, everyone. We begin with some Brexit news. European Union Council President Donald Tusk said today that the EU would not pursue a punitive approach in the talks that are to begin as Britain negotiates its exit from the bloc. The UK yesterday delivered its formal exit notification to the EU, and Tusk has sent the 27 leaders of the Union his proposed negotiating guidelines for the upcoming talks.
Predicting that the talks will be difficult, complex and sometimes even confrontational, Tusk argued for a phased approach while ruling out penalties.
The EU27 does not and will not pursue a punitive approach. Brexit in itself is already punitive enough. There is no such thing as a Brexit bill or penalty for leaving. We want to talk just about fairness and commitments.
However, Tusk has also insisted that during a transition period likely to follow Britain's departure in 2019 and before a free trade pact can be finalised, the British must accept EU rules, including accepting free immigration from the continent.
Ousted South Korean President Park Geun-hye was arrested today following a 9-hour court hearing in Seoul after corruption charges. The Seoul District Court issued an arrest warrant to detain the former South Korean president while she continues to be investigated over charges of bribery, corruption, abuse of power and leakage of state secrets. The court said in a statement that the arrest was necessary as key charges were justified and there was a risk of evidence being destroyed. Park, who lost her presidential immunity, could be sentenced to over 10 years in jail if convicted. An international outcry was raised after Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro ordered the pro-government Supreme Court to take over legislative powers from the country's National Assembly. The court ruled that the National Assembly was in contempt following charges of alleged electoral irregularities by 3 opposition lawmakers in elections held in 2015.
Opposition lawmakers make up the majority of Venezuela's National Assembly, elected in 2015 as President Nicolas Maduro's popularity dwindled amid growing economic troubles. Several Latin American countries as well as the United States expressed strong concerns over the takeover, and Peru has withdrawn its ambassador to Venezuela. The Venezuelan opposition described the takeover by the Supreme Court as a coup and went on to accuse Maduro of dictatorship.
Esto es simplemente.
Also in international news, Malaysians stranded in North Korea have returned to their home country, and the body of Kim Jong-nam has arrived in Pyongyang today after the two countries reached a diplomatic accord following an extended standoff. Following the row over last month's murder of Kim Jong-nam, the estranged half-brother of North Korean leader Kim Jong-nam, Malaysia and North Korea had placed travel bans on citizens in each other's countries. 9 Malaysians who had been stranded in North Korea over the travel ban, including diplomatic personnel and their families, returned to their home country today. The ban on North Koreans leaving Malaysia was also lifted, and Japanese media reports suggest that at least 2 suspects wanted over the murder may have left the country. On to the weather now. Showers or thunder showers will occur in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central, northwestern, Uva and southern provinces in the late afternoon. Fairly heavy falls of more than 50 millimeters can be expected at some places. Showers or thunder showers may also occur at a few places in the other provinces in the late afternoon as well. Also, here's your city-by-city forecast. Well, that is a part of your world tonight right here on Other Derana 24/7. For the latest in local, international, business, sports, weather or entertainment news, do log on to www.otherderana.lk. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at Other Derana. And before we go, we'd like to give you an insight into one of Sri Lanka's most exquisite and iconic handicrafts, the art of cane work. Other Derana News at 9 will return next Monday. Be sure to join us then. I'm Mahesh Johnny. Good night.
Information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.